goal and you miss a chance that we missed around the 20th minute mark, 90th minute mark. We didn't give ourselves an opportunity, and we lose the game.
Yeah. And it's all ifs, buts and maybes football, isn't it? You know, had Izzy stuck that one away on 19 minutes, 2-0 up, less than 20 minutes on the watch, that would have been game over, wouldn't it? Because they were on a bad run as well. They came into it with two straight defeats.
Yeah, I think so.
They wouldn't have come back, would they?
No, 100%. And I think if they're honest, I think their manager, Rizzini, I think he got his tactics probably wrong in the first little bit, but I think at half time he regrouped his players and they came out like a different side, you know. And I think they like to keep the ball as well, and they've got a fresh approach, and it's just really disappointing that we couldn't probably capitalise on a good start that we had, because you can win the game in the first half and you can just course through the second half, see the game out. But when you don't get that second killer goal, you know, it's really frustrating, because they were there for the taking, and the league would have looked a hell of a lot brighter.
They were not a great team, were they?
No, listen, the teams in and around us, I don't think are great. The workmanlike. They seem to get the job done. At the minute, we don't get the job done. And we talked. I know we spoke off air there about the goals that we scored last year and how entertaining we are. We haven't got that spark. And when we're still letting goals in, we look susceptible to giving chances and giving goals away. Then it's really quite worrying, because there's no positive in terms of going forward at the minute, because we're not scoring enough goals, creating enough chances. We're talking about one good chance. Last year, we'd probably create 3, 4, 5 good chances, and we can probably afford to miss one or two, when now we can't afford to miss any. That's probably the most worrying part.
It is Andy Campbell, former Boro striker, live on the Red. Also on Facebook Live as well, and YouTube. You can get your comments into the radio studio via WhatsApp, 0330 043 2002. That's 0330 043 2002. That's one way you can do it. You can do it on Facebook Live. Just, you know, along the side. I've got a point to the right side here. I think it's that side. I might be reversed here. Whatever it is, get your comments in, or below if you're doing it that way on the page. Then I can see myself on the screen doing all this. You can get your comments in there. We've posed the question on Facebook Live tonight: will we still will we still secure a playoff spot? And we'll talk about that this season. Or on YouTube, you can do that. And Rob is all over it like a rash downstairs.
As always.
And he'll be firing them through to us when they come in on YouTube, because, you know, we've got the new cameras in now, so studio's starting to look a bit tidier. Last time we were on temporary ones, big cameras on tripods.
Just sort the grey beard out now, though.
Well,
too sharp.
We'll play with the colour scheme on the cameras, mate. So
Brilliant.
So I've got nice black hair, and well, there you go. We'll give you a nice. What colour? Ginger beard?
Anything, just and some hair would be nice.
Okay, that's fine. So you can get your comments in that way. Look, let's get started. I did ask the question, and apologies for those on YouTube and Facebook Live. Apparently, there's a bit of audio missing at the start. Well, we asked that question. I thought I'd put it out there. We'll take your comments throughout the show about will we still make the playoffs this season. Anthony, thanks, mate. A definitive yes.
Brilliant.
That's great. Ian, he's our Darlington fan, saying good evening, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Same to you, mate. And he's asking the question, because we've asked about the Boro, will Darlow avoid going down?
Oh, I thought he was going to ask if they were going to get the playoffs.
No. Will we avoid going down? And Anthony's come straight on the back and went, no. Like it. So it's not just Cam's RedArmy.
No.
It's the black and white one of
Black and white
Darlow as well, yeah. I mean, and we can do blue and white of Hartlepool if you want. Turn it into whatever you want. Hang on. The comments are still... The comments are still flying in, and Anthony said, are the injuries costing us? We'll come on to that as well. So, look, we've got reaction from Ipswich. We've got reaction from last night against Hull City. And we've also got to look ahead to the weekend as well. Yeah. So there's an awful lot to get through. I'll try and do it a bit chronologically here, mate. Ipswich.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. When I was watching the game, even though they did us, I was looking at them thinking, a fully fit Boro squad would have done them.
Yeah.
We'd have certainly given a run for the money.
Yeah. I think we showed them a little bit too much respect. I looked at the squad on paper, I looked at the team, and they don't have many stars. They've got workman-like players. They've got, listen, they're very good footballers in their own right. I totally get that. But they've got a philosophy and a way of playing which the manager demands. He's obviously a very, very good coach. He obviously works a lot on the training ground. You can see they're very well drilled, and Chaplin is a big player for them. He caused us a host of problems, and obviously got his goal. they just seem to do enough. You know, I know against Watford in the week, they went 1-0 down, turned it around at 2-1. I think once they were ahead, I can't see them losing the game. Whereas we've gone ahead probably in the last 4 or 5 games at the minute, and we've lost points or lost games. And that's where you need to. You know, we talked at the start of the season about we need to score the first goal. We can't give the first goal away. At the minute, we're getting the first goal, but we're still losing games. So
that's the difference with last season, wasn't it? If
huge.
we got the first goal, we knew we had more goals to come.
100%. Yeah. We'd create chances. We'd score more goals than one. I think at the minute we're thinking one goal's enough, or second goal will come. At the minute those chances aren't coming and the goals aren't coming, and it's maybe a little bit of composure. Latte on one of those streaks and forms for a centre forward, which is brilliant. But where are other goals coming from? You know what I mean? Are we getting a defender coming in with 5-10 goals a season? Are we getting a number 10 or a midfielder coming in with goals? Sam Greenwood's popped up with important goals. Of course he has, but is it enough? Has he scored enough goals? You know what I mean? Riley's obviously injured. Azai has scored his goals in one game. He missed a really good chance. It's so important that the goals are spread around. We can't focus on one player. You know what I mean? Like we talked last year about the goals that Akpom scored, but other players followed suit as well. They scored goals, and goals came from various avenues. McGree, Archer, Ramsey. Other people scored goals and helped us out. At the minute, we look really one-dimensional, which is quite alarming.
And are we one-dimensional because of the injuries?
Yes, I think yes and no. I think we're one-dimensional because we're lacking options. Obviously, Josh Coburn's picked up an injury. There's a very of it. I don't think we know. There are a few rumours coming out that it could be this, it could be that. But I'd like to see a little bit of a versatility. Maybe he's playing both up front, because I think Josh would score goals with somebody in and around him. Would create more chances. Because
so I'd like to see Josh alongside Latte because they're so different as individuals. I mean, Josh will make an absolute nuisance of himself with the big defenders,
but he'd create more chances though for someone else.
Yeah, exactly. For Latte, who can run, he's got speed, he's got pace.
And I'll put my own slant on it. When I played up front on my own a couple of times. I hated every minute of it because I didn't get no support. I didn't get no change out of defenders. When I played up front with somebody else, I could play off them. I could work in and around them. They could take the pressure off me. I could work on the things that I wanted to work on. And I think that's one thing that in 2023 and the modern day football, that the formation that teams play with one up front, it makes you one-dimensional. It makes defenders in control instead of being second-guessed. And I think sometimes you need to think a little bit differently. And that's probably football in general. You know, if the teams who do things very differently have a big centre forward or have a couple of centre forwards up, it's very, obviously very different.
Yeah, we had that last year. We had Archer and Akpom.
Yeah.
Whichever way around it was, it was more Archer doing the running and playing in Akpom, or it was Akpom getting that ball and Archer feeding off him. We had that. We had two strikers who could play off each other. I don't think I've seen us go for that yet this season.
No, I don't think we've had. The consistency. I don't think we've had the versatility. We've had Sam Greenwood probably get a little bit higher. We've got Matt Crooks playing a little bit higher. And with all due respect, we're talking a very different calibre of player. You know what I mean? Matt Crooks is good in his own right. He does a brilliant job for the team. But he's not the kind of player who's going to get you 10, 15 goals, which is going to be what we need to get in the playoffs, in my opinion. We need goals win games. And one goal's not enough in 2023 in the Championship at this minute to win either game of football. You know, I talked about the Aitor Karanka style, about the amount of clean sheets that Dimmy used to keep. You know what I mean? At the minute, we don't keep clean sheets, so one goal's not enough. You know what I mean? Teams are scoring against us, it's knocking us back, it's ruining our confidence, and then we're susceptible at the minute to go and lose that second goal. We did it against Plymouth, we did it against Bristol City, we did it against Leeds United, and we did it again against Hull City last night. So we need to make sure that one goal doesn't turn into two. You know, because 1 point last night wouldn't have been a disaster. But it would have been a very, very strong point against a team in and around you. We wouldn't have dropped the points. And
I was saying that, and when we were chatting before the game, when we were doing Match Day Live from the Six Medals pub with the Boro fans and the Hull fans, funnily enough, every Hull fan I spoke to predicted 2-1 Hull City win. What do they know? We were saying that and I think I was saying that it's a game we can't afford to lose because of where they are around us, and they were 3 points ahead. Yeah. And if we could keep them within 3 points and we can move on to the next game, there's always that chance that come January, get a few more faces and get a few injuries back, we could stand that chance of having a run. But, jeez.
Yeah, well,
it was a real kick, wasn't it?
I think the worst was Cardiff lost against Birmingham, which was a shock result. Blackburn win, Southampton won, Leeds. Everyone seems to be making that gap a little. Sunderland, that the gap gets bigger, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult. We've still got all these teams to play, remember. You know what I mean? It's not...
And it grows when you're not winning games. When you're not on a winning streak, that gap goes.
And there's some big games coming up, like Swansea at the weekend. It's going to be a really, really difficult game. Forget league tables.
I don't fancy that.
Forget league tables. It's a long trip, that's for one. You're going into Liberty Stadium. You're playing against a side who has one way of playing. They will keep the ball for long, long periods of that game. And will we change our tactics, or will we match them and try and keep the ball off them? It's going to be a very, very difficult afternoon. We haven't notoriously gone away from home and kept many clean sheets. There's always a lot of goals with Middlesbrough Football Club turn up to games. And then the small matter the following midweek of the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. So, listen, Port Vale would be rubbing their hands together.
It's not on telly, is it? They haven't selected. They've gone for the big guns.
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah,
but well, I'm pleased about that. I'm pleased about that. Of course, it's going to be a huge
everybody, because that's what it is now.
Don't fancy it now.
No, well, I don't. I was excited 4 games ago, and really looking forward to it. Now I'm nervous because Saturday's the bigger game, because it's the bread and butter. It's a game that we need to pick points up from. But then when you win it, you've got to quickly move on to it. If you don't win the game on Saturday, you've got to quickly move on to it and hope that players can turn themselves around and start looking at performance levels and trying to get over the line, because it's going to be such a difficult couple of weeks, I think, up to Christmas now. Yeah, it is. A couple of comments coming in. Please keep them coming in via WhatsApp into the radio studio, the Red Studio. We're live across Teesside on DAB radio smart speakers. Well, the world on smart speakers and via the website and via apps. But DAB radio across Teesside and Darlington, all the way up to Bishops. So Darlow, we can talk to Darlow fans as well if you want to give us your shout. 0330 043 2002. A couple of comments in from YouTube. Boro fan, no, we won't. He's that question I posed earlier. Yeah. Will we make the playoffs this season? Boro fan says, no, we won't. Too many losses and starting to be cut adrift. No sign of so-called better players coming back. I mean, that's a point, a factor we've been talking about for a couple of shows now. Yeah. Are we losing too many games? You can't afford to lose too many games. I don't know what that magic number is going to look like. I think the more alarming thing is what we spoke about, Dave, before the show, that we spoke about. Normally, you're fighting for 3-4 places. That the top 2 can go and run away with it, and the playoff places up for grabs. The way the season's looking at the minute, Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds and Southampton look like they're fighting it up for the top 2 and the top 2 playoff places as well. So then you're scraping around now for 2 more places. And it looks like there's 10, 12 teams fighting for those 2 holy grail places, which is just phenomenal way of looking at it. But you can't afford to lose against teams in and around you. That's the most important thing. And we unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks, we've lost some massive games against Hull, Leeds, probably more of a free one. But now, when you probably get the free games where you can afford to lose, Swansea, you can't afford to lose it because you can't afford to lose another game, because we've lost 3 on the belt. We can't afford to lose 4 on the belt in the league, because that would just be an absolute disaster. We're going back to where we were at the start of the season.
Would be, yeah, exactly. We'd be in a real rut. Yeah. 4 straight losses, and heaven forbid if that happened. And then we go into the Port Vale game, and that eternal banana is just waiting. The skin is waiting on the floor to be slip up.
And on that point, Dave, I don't think we can afford then to. I think if we did lose at the weekend and you go and get knocked out of the cup, the season is absolutely shot to pieces overnight. That's in the case of a week. So we do need to massively get things right this week. Few massive days ahead of recovery. Can we get anybody back? If not, the players have got to look after it themselves. You know what I mean? The manager knows and trusts who he's got on the pitch. Listen, the team's good enough on the pitch. The team is good enough. We'd all love the X, Y and Z to come back. We'd all love all the injuries to come back and make us stronger. But the players who are on the pitch, they believe they're good enough, because they want to play for Middlesbrough Football Club. They want to play in the Championship. We know deep down that they've got ability. It's time to show it. You know what I mean? Forget tiredness. Forget games coming thick and fast. These are the games you want to play in. You know, pressurised games. Quarter-final of the Cup. Any footballer in the right mind would be looking forward to these games. If I want to play on Wednesday night against Port Vale, I've got to perform on Saturday. Yeah, it's as simple as that.
And those 11 players that started the game last night against Hull City, none of them you could point a finger at and say they're not Championship players.
No,
they are
100%.
There's not a player out there you would question being in the side, even with the horrendous injury situation we've got. So
they've been there and done it, Dave. They've been there and done it. They wore the T-shirt. They've earned the right for the reputation to be a Championship, if not played in the Premier League, in some point of their career. So. You know what I mean? Cream always rises to the top, but you've got to earn that right. You've got to really put the shift in. You've got to put the work in. And I think second half yesterday, I don't think we we've won our battles individually, collectively. They showed a little bit more quality in the right areas, and at times they worked a little bit harder than us, and that's criminal. You know what I mean? In order for a team shouldn't work harder than you on your home patch in front of your own crowd.
We're gonna come back to the Boro chat in a minute. I've just got to give a very hard Paddington Bear stare at Boro fan on YouTube. I'm giving him a Paddington Bear stare now, simply because he's put another comment on, which is Radio Dad. That's the nickname they're giving me. Radio Dad. Not much chance of you looking as sharp as a Stanley knife, even with the new cameras.
Ouch.
I know. That was a kick in the stones, mate. Thank you very much for that one. Love that one, yeah. Kisses in your general direction too. Another one coming in via WhatsApp. I'm just trying to see who this is here. Let's see if I can get it. It's, I think it's Shirl. Hiya, we watched the game last night. In our opinion, the first half, Boro wanted it more. Second half, Hull showed they wanted it more. And capitalise on the fact Boro just couldn't keep hold of the ball.
But why is that, Dave? Why is that happening? A game of two halves, when you dominate the game that much in the first half, you should have put it to bed.
We should have put it to bed anyway.
Yeah, but the consistency, the second half, it should be a continuity of what's happened in the first half. We should grow into the game even further and dominate those kind of games. You know, instead of 45 minutes, it should be 60, 75. And if you're still only 1-0 up because you've missed chance after chance after chance, you hold your hands up and say, we could play until Saturday and we wouldn't score. But we didn't create enough. We didn't do enough, especially in the second half, to probably get that positive result.
Couple of comments coming in, and please keep them coming in. Facebook Live, YouTube, or the WhatsApp number, which is 033 043 2002. You can even come on the show if you want. You can, give us a shout. Just say, "Ow, Radio Dad, Dave, Andy, you lot, get me on the show. I want to talk." So just WhatsApp us your message, whether it's your comment, a question for Andy, or whether you actually want to say, "Ow, give me a call, I want to be on." 033 043 2002. A couple of comments coming in on Facebook Live. Mark, don't believe we're strong enough for the playoffs. We will need a good 7 or 8 players in January to get anywhere near. Is there that much surgery needed?
I think my concern in the bigger picture of it all, I was talking to people today about it, that if we do get in the playoffs with the squad that we've got, even with the injuries coming back, are we good enough and strong enough to beat a Leeds United, a Southampton, a Leicester, an Ipswich Town, because the players that we've got, and the way that we're playing currently, because all you can do it on face value, we're not playing well enough. We're not dominating enough games. We're not dominating games for long enough periods of time. We're not creating enough chances. We're letting goals in. So I think there's a lot of work to do. Do I believe we need 7 players in? Probably not, because when we get the injuries back, it will make us stronger internally. Yeah. I'd probably say we probably need at least 3, minimum of 3, and what that looks like, I don't know. Would that be building for next year and having the same model what Kieran Scott has? I don't know. Is that
a case of we need 3 new faces plus we need injuries then returning?
I believe
so.
I believe so. I think we need fresh faces.
It's not just we need 3 back in from the treatment table.
No, I think we need externally 3 players in. Yeah. If that's loan players, which Kieran Scott did an interview on radio recently about the model's changed. So is the model changed that dramatically that we're going to bring 3 players in? I'll bring players in and on longer contracts at the same age bracket, and we move forward and push on for next season. Hopefully, he hasn't ruled out bringing loan players in, but it's got to be the right player, because we need to learn from the mistakes of last year. Do we need to bring loan players in at this time and they do well, we do well, and they go and leave and move on to a different club? We make players better, but we're the ones who suffer. You know what I mean? For me, it's we've got to move past this. You know what I mean? We've got to look after number one, look after this football club. And for me, it's the model. I like the model that we've got now, but we can't change the model halfway during the season. It's not broken. Yeah. The model was broke at the start, but we changed it. And I think we saw a little bit more positives once the players had bedded in, settled down. But I do believe we need some reinforcements. 100%.
And look, let's not take anything away from Michael, because he has now got a horrendous injury situation.
Yeah. Probably the worst he'll ever get in his career, potentially.
Yeah. And it's not as if we're a Manchester United, Liverpool, or Man City where you can have strength in depth in terms of numbers and quality. We're not there. We're in the Championship. We're a Championship club. Yeah. And to have 10 regular first teamers out at the same time is huge. Yeah.
And some of the quality as well. What I mean? Like the big players who've turned up on big moments for this football club. So those players, defensively and offensively, it causes problems for the manager, the coaching staff, the supporters, because we start to worry, start to concern. It's the players who are left behind who are the ones who need to step up and and show their worth, because that's when you get a gem who hasn't played and people thought they would probably finish at the club. These are the lads who can show that they want to be here long term and they deserve an opportunity, because when new players come back, if they're not shown the worth, they'll just go back where they were or move clubs, and that's for me the biggest shame.
Yeah. Get your comments in to Andy Campbell, former Boro striker. You can do it live on the Red Radio or Facebook Live or YouTube, because we're streaming the show on there too. YouTube just seems a platform for having a dig at me. Boro fans on there. He sent another one. Love the stare. You looked as hard as a dinosaur with a laughing face. Appreciate that one. So if you want to really have a dig at us, then I think it seems to be YouTube. We love you really, mate. Or on the WhatsApp, 0330 043 2002. That's 0330 043 2002. Let's have a look at Facebook Live. Plenty of comments on here. We need to get through them. Ian's saying, do you think the Championship is much harder this season with the teams that have gone down from the Premiership and the teams that have come up from League One? Is it a harder league than some years you've seen?
I think it's harder because I think the Premier League players who are coming down. Look at Leicester's squad. Look at Leicester's midfield. You know what I mean? Alone is phenomenal. I think the teams who are coming up from League One, the gulf's not as dramatic and as big as
there's been investment in Ipswich.
What people think. Yeah. I think with the parachute money and the Premier League money, teams can still invest and they can still have that kind of progression for the next 2 or 3 seasons. And the teams like Hull and the teams like Preston, who are always in those kind of areas, and Sunderland and ourselves, or put us in the bracket, they're always in and around those areas. So you've got this probably the similar amount of sides, 8 to 10 to 12 sides who are focusing for 6 places.
Yeah.
Or for 4 places. And every year, next season is going to be the same. You're going to get 3 teams coming down from the Premier League. It's going to get harder and harder to get out of it. And the longer with the parachute money. Oh. And I think next year, probably, in my opinion, may not be as difficult with Luton going down. It's probably I don't think Luton will fly back up, in my opinion. But
I think they're a team that probably would have to sell.
Yeah, 100%. I think that their model is going to be very different to everyone else's. But the clubs who came down last year, the big football clubs who took one step back to potentially go forward, and that was probably the long term and the short term plan anyway. So, and they're showing their worth by doing so. But we need to make sure that we have the right tools in our armour to get where we need to be. We need to get in the playoffs again. To show progression as a football club, we need to be in the playoffs. Should we be there right now? We had too much of a bad start in order to be there right now. But we need to make sure we don't lose enough games, which is going to shoot ourselves in the foot.
We keep saying that, don't we? We keep saying how many.
We talked about the magic number last week. We've had another couple. We've got another tough one Saturday. We've got some tough ones coming up for Christmas. After New Year, we've got some predominantly easy ones, but then you've got Sunderland thrown in the middle of them. It's going to be a phenomenal period, December and January, but it also could be an absolute disaster because your season could be done by the end of January.
Well, it could be.
I mean, careful.
If we go on and I don't want to talk negatively, but at the moment I don't see much positivity to hang my hopes on. You know, if we were to go on a losing run now, or pick up the odd draw here and there amongst losses, get through that period, because it's a massive period.
Christmas is always the best period for a footballer.
I still think our defining period is now, because of the teams that we're playing.
Yeah, we always said, Dave, Christmas was the period to win games. There's loads of games in a short space of time.
Yeah.
And we could get closer, if not in and around the playoffs, around this Christmas period.
But if
we
don't
only get there by winning games.
But if we don't, and we get into mid-January and we haven't picked those points up, tough one. That's why I asked the question tonight. And it was me who asked it, not Andy. And I asked the question of, do you still think we can make the playoffs? Because I'd like use this program as a bit of a sounding board on what the fans are thinking. And we've had some comments come in actually, and they're not positive. Mark said Crooks is too slow. Jones's decision making is awful. Barlas are not anywhere near good enough at the moment to start games. Mohamed Ibrahim's a regular. Hello, mate. I know you like to be positive, but he's saying it was awful last night. And it didn't help with Carrick saying what he said after the game. He thinks it's an insult to the fans. Anthony is having a pop at Barlas. He wasn't good, Barlas, yesterday. And you have those games as players. You have off days. When I was reffing, I had off days. Yeah. And I knew when I had an off day. I'm sure it's the same for you guys. If you're missing them, not getting into the right spots, not trying to put the effort in, but it's just not working. I'm sure you know yourself.
Yeah. Listen, players know that levels aren't good enough. Players know when you played well. You don't need to be told off a manager, a coach, a supporter, your teammates if you've done well. You know for a fine fact if you've done well. You know for a fine fact if you've done enough in terms of put the effort in. I think today will have been a quiet, sombre training ground in terms of reflection and looking at themselves in the mirror, and a couple of meetings to try and turn this around, because we talk about things can't get worse. Things can get a lot worse if we're not careful. And I don't want to be negative, same as what you've just said. I want us to turn this around, but I look at the games. Swansea fighting for their lives down the bottom end of the table. You know what I mean? And they're a big club, good club who play the right way and try to win football matches. They're in a little bit of a transition. We need to be positive. We need to go into the game and we need to try and win this football match, because you can't turn up for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? We've gone for 45 minutes at Bristol City the other week. In the second half, we played well, but we still lost the game. We turned up on Wednesday, 45 minutes. We still lost the game. We need longer periods. We need to play better for longer. It's not a fitness thing. It can't be a fitness thing. We're too far into the season now, 19, 20 games in. You know what I mean? We're match fit.
Could it be a tiredness thing, because he's got no other option than to play the same player game in, game out?
Potentially. I think Wednesday, for example, for me was a case of, if we'd have played 5 or 10 minutes more in the first half, we'd have got that second goal. Yeah. You know what I mean? We had them on the ropes and they were there. They were ready for the taking. They needed to get in the change room very quick.
I agree with Michael.
Fast.
When Carrick turned around and said he thought we played well, I'd give him that in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
But I thought we were shocking in the second 45 minutes. And I thought 100%. Our passing was shocking overall. I thought our finishing was shocking, though Latte did get on the end of one and put it away. So, I know, Mo, you're not happy about what Carrick was saying, but I'll give him what he said based on that. But
it's in isolation. I think
you can't win a game just in 45 minutes.
No, you can. You can.
We've
done it in the past. We've done it against Preston, but you can't do it every week.
And had Izzy scored on 19 minutes, that would have been
a very different game. Very different game. But because we didn't score, you can talk about those missed chances and defining moments in games. But because the defining moments are, we missed a chance on 19, we give some goals away, we give chances away, and predominantly you lose the game.
Leave a man completely unmarked at the far post for the equaliser.
Can't afford to do it.
You present them with the second goal inside the penalty area with a wayward flick. Yeah, I mean it's too victims of our own.
There's too many errors and too many small margins are killing us at the minute. You know what I mean? We're getting punished severely in the massive moments in football matches.
Yeah,
and when things are going against you, to go against you, but you've got to obviously earn that own fortune as well, and your own luck. And at the minute, we're not earning anything. We're not getting that second goal, which would have potentially killed the game. Or you draw 2-2, take a draw.
Yeah,
a draw towards the end of the season might be a huge result, but we're not drawing enough games. We're losing or we're winning, but at the minute we're losing. And 3 on the bounce, you can't afford to turn it into 4.
Yeah. A couple of more comments coming in. We'll go YouTube. Boro fans have been back on again. And this one hasn't got anything to do with taking the make out of me. That's great. We've only got a couple of losses left in us, because we're now relying on other teams. I think you're dead right. More than a couple of more losses, mate, and we're going to be in trouble. So what does that spell out for the rest of the season? And Stu's been on. We're 6 points off the playoffs, 7 off the bottom 3. We need to start looking over our shoulders to be safe, I think is the comment there. Rye, our Rye, not Plymouth Rye. G'day, mate. Hang on. Do we still? I don't think we still have. I'd have played his jingle, mate, before we. Hang on, let's see if he's in there. Is he in there? He is. Let's do a bit of this and have a bit of fun.
Truth live down under. It's Matchday Live with Ryan Richter's.
This is the Red. That's the man. So all the way from Canberra, which is pretty soggy at the moment. He was battling storms yesterday, God bless him, but he was on the breakfast show this morning, on the North East Footy breakfast show. He's listening at the moment. His thoughts are, I think we got it awfully wrong last night. In my head, I'm thinking it has to be one of two things, because there's no way he can believe that was a good performance. He's commenting on Michael Carrick's comments after the game, saying he was really pleased with it.
I think for me, Rye, I think he's probably saying one thing to the punters. He's probably saying another thing inside the dressing room, and I think he's trying to keep his thoughts and
he's trying to manage his belief.
He's managed it internally and externally, and I think he's trying to keep the positivity with the supporters and try to say it was good, because there was good parts of it, but overall the bigger picture is we lost the game. But internally, he won't be happy. He won't be happy with the chances that we missed in the first half, which is a negative. He won't be happy with the goals he gave away in the second half, which is a negative. He won't be happy with not getting a point or losing 2 points, which is a negative, or 3 points. There's a lot of work to do, but we've got it in us. We've got a really, really good manager, but results speak for itself, and it's a results business. It's a results game. We need to be positive in terms of going into the weekend and trying to win a football match.
You live and die by them, don't you?
You do. Unfortunately,
the results are everything.
Listen, we've seen
losing
better
another
and
10
worse
games.
managers.
Will he be in the job? I don't know. Even Michael Carrick,
It doesn't matter who you are. You know, I mean, there's big managers who've lost their jobs because they haven't won football matches. They haven't got in that holy grail of the playoffs and got promoted. And you know what I mean. Listen, he's very good at what he does. He had an amazing season last season. He's turned things around this season. It looked a lot better in terms of position where we are. But right now, the last 3 games, you focus on it in isolation. It's not been good enough.
0330 043 2002 if you want to WhatsApp us via the Red Studio, live on DAB Radio across Teesside. You can get your comments in via YouTube. We're live on that at the moment, and also via Facebook Live. And let's dig into a couple of these Facebook Live ones. Hang on, just get a couple of messages off my screen. Blocking Steve said, we had enough chances last night to have put Hull City away before they equalised. Rather than saying we were rubbish, we were just not putting the chances away that are being presented to us. On to Swansea, up the Boro. I'll just shorten that one. Ian, I'm surprised that no one has gone in for the striker Mullin from Wrexham and Longstaff from Notts County. Every time you mention latte, I fancy a coffee, is Ian's.
I think I do.
Go and get one, mate. I'll just talk to myself. I think
that. on those 2 players, Mullin and Longstaff, I'll throw it out to the Boro fans. Are those the kind of players who would excite you being brought in? Are they the kind of players who we expect would score the goals to get us in the playoffs? Listen, they're doing well for their football clubs. They're doing well at the levels that they're playing at. But is the jump too much in a short space of time? Are we going to expect great things from them straight away? Are we wanting a player to come down from the Premier League who's got the experience? Are we looking at a Championship player who's done it, wore that T-shirt, so to speak, or an international class who's done it in a different country? You know, I'll throw it out to people, you know, because the skill of a centre forward who can find the net, you know what I mean? Are we putting too much pressure on a Macaulay Longstaff? Are we putting too much pressure on a Paul Mullin? You know, that these kind of players have done brilliant for their football clubs. They've got them out the National League. They've got them into League 2. But we're talking about League 2, and I'm not being disrespectful here, but I'm talking about the Championship.
There is a big difference.
We're talking about the Championship to the Premier League. You know, if they're ready to play in the Premier League now, then that's different, because we could be in the Premier League next season, and they need to be ready for that opportunity. I'm just not sure that they're ready for it. And yes, people can throw back at me, but they will never know unless they're given the opportunity. I totally get it. But what I don't want to do is bring these kind of players in, and they're not ready. It has a negative impact. They sit on the bench. They don't get opportunities and get game time. So we're still in the same position what we are now. Because are we in that position, that luxury that we take a risk on a centre forward? I don't think we are in that position.
Couple of more comments. Anthony Cam has a couple of questions for you, actually. One from Anthony. Where do you think we need to strengthen? Which positions?
I think we need a centre forward. I think we need somebody with experience who can lead that line. I think we need somebody who's got broad shoulders, who's not scared to miss chances, not scared to make mistakes. I don't know who that person is, but I think it's got to come from either the Championship or the league above, or the equivalent. It's got to be someone with experience who can drag a game and hold the ball up for us and get people into the game. We need more width for me. We need a little bit more creativity. I know we've obviously got some big players missing. I watched Luton the other week, and I watched Giles against, I think it was Man City game, and it didn't put balls in the box. Every week again for Middlesbrough, put balls in the box. I think we miss balls in the box. We miss causing issues, causing problems. I'd like to see a wide player who just consistently puts crosses and crosses and crosses in the box. Because does Isaiah put enough crosses in the box on the right hand side? No, in my opinion. I think he does a lot of good work, but does he put balls in the box? If he does he put quality in the box? Not enough. Do we get enough quality from the left hand side? Not enough.
At the moment, no.
Not enough. So we talk about not scoring enough goals. The centre forwards have been starved. You know, we talk about Josh Coburn. Josh would thrive on balls in the box, but he probably didn't score enough goals this season so far because he hasn't had the quality that players had last season. Do we create enough in the middle? No. Have we got the number 10 who can create a chance out of nothing to score goals? No.
I mean, it's so obvious for us to say we're missing a Giles pinging that ball in from wide positions, which Tuba absolutely feasted on last season. But we also seem to be missing that spark in midfield, just to break that in between midfield and the strikers. Yeah. Because now it seems to be an awful lot of side-to-side passing and patient build-up, waiting for what's going to be an ideal opportunity. Yeah. It's almost as though we feel we can't create that opportunity. Yeah. We saw it with Hull, we saw it with Ipswich, certainly. Yeah. You know, they like possession, they like passing it side to side, but as soon as they got into the Boro half, they would then start probing and looking.
Dave, there's a lot of teams who come to the Riverside who when they're broken between those lines, they've got past the Johnny Howsons, got past the Hayden Hackneys, they've run with the ball, they've excited their supporters, have caused problems for us. Dazelle did it for QPR. Chaplin did it the other day for Ipswich Town. Who's exciting us? Who's doing that for us? Who's driving at defenders? Who's making something happen? Riley Green's not there. We haven't got Archer anymore. We haven't got Ramsey anymore. We haven't got Tuber to do it from the 10 area. We haven't got the wide players who are doing it consistently anymore. We've still got Jones. Greenwood's not doing it enough. He's lacking a little bit of belief and a little bit of confidence in certain games.
Came off again last night.
Yeah, he just lacks probably belief in himself. He can do it because he's shown he can do it.
Yeah.
But can he do it week in, week out? You know what I mean? When he's on the pitch, that time's got to happen because we need him in big games. Last night was a big game for us, and for me a huge opportunity missed. But we need those kind of players to drive the standards. You've got the protection, you've got the Johnny Howsons and the Hayden Hackneys, play into them. But we need to then turn and drive and make something happen and play in between the lines from their defence to midfield. We need to make things happen and create more chances.
Question from Mo Ibra. Question to Andy: would Ali Al-Hamadi be a good signing? He's scoring goals.
He's scoring goals, yeah, and he's proved that he can do it at this level. So I think I'm talking about levels, and I don't want to be come across negative about names and players. You know what I mean? I played low levels and I got opportunities. I've known loads of players who've come from low levels and played up and made it to the very top, but it doesn't happen for everybody. And my only worry is that we hang our hat and put pressure on players who aren't ready right now. And given that opportunity, and Al-Hamadi, he's a player who's done it and he would score goals.
That's an interesting point, actually. Would you talk in the same breath as a Hayden Hackney, bearing in mind Tottenham are supposed to be kept an eye on him in the last handful of games he
Tottenham
played before
Liverpool,
injury.
yeah.
Liverpool as well. I mean, is that same risk for those boys, having a look at a Hackney, or has Hackney got to the point now where he's proved himself in the Championship, so you see the quality naturally and you know almost 100% certain he will also transfer that into the Premier League? Or is it the same? Is it the same gamble?
It's the same risk. I just think for Premier League teams, I think they've got a little bit more time on their hands. Would Hayden Hackney leaves and goes signs for Liverpool in January, would he get picked out of Middlesbrough and dropped into the Liverpool centre midfield straight away? No. He would earn his stripes, he would earn his place, he would train, he would play alongside, he would improve as a player because he's training with better players, you would think. He would play the odd game, he would get opportunities. So the risk would probably be lesser because he's playing with better players on a bigger stage. Yeah. And his performance levels are already on a high anyway from the level he's playing at now. Hayden's playing at a higher level than some of the lads are playing at in League 1 and League 2. So already he's got that. He's playing at under 21 level as well. So he's got that opportunity that he's already playing with some of the Liverpool players who are in midfield, for example, and some of the Spurs players. So it wouldn't be a risk because they can afford to take that risk as well financially, where Middlesbrough would potentially have to pay £1, £2, £3 million for a centre forward even out of League 2, and it's a big risk if they're not going to score goals.
It was an interesting one last night at the Six Medals when we were doing Matchday Live. So just in case you haven't picked it up yet, we do Matchday Live just before the Boro home game. So on a Saturday, we're in there 3 hours before kick-off the Six Medals, building up to the big game and talking to the Boro fans, having a chat with the away fans, getting their views. So join us at the Six Medals anytime you want. And on the midweek game, it's a couple of hours before kick-off. We're in there. So, get yourself the medals and join us. But there was a Liverpool fan in last night. Oh. His family are all Boro fans.
Was he lost?
Yeah. He got dragged kicking and screaming just about with the rest of his family to the Boro game last night. So I was talking with a couple of members of his family, and somebody pointed and went, he's a Liverpool fan, him. And he said straight away, I've got a question for you. Tell me, Hayden Hackney, is he as good as what we're hearing? So even that's now transferred onto the fans because there's talk, obviously, in and around Anfield and Merseyside about them looking at Hackney. So he is catching the eye.
Listen, when you're playing consistently well, scoring goals, your levels are consistent. You're playing for the under-21s.
And playing consistently well for the under-21s.
Yeah, alongside some Liverpool players as well, by the way, because he's playing alongside players who are scoring goals in the Premier League. So when you're mixing it and probably those players are given recommendations as well. Because listen, managers, clubs, players speak about other players. It happens all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? What a better recommendation for a manager is from player to player, because players speak the honest truth about players, opposition and your own players. So it's I'm hoping he doesn't leave, because it'll leave a huge hole.
But if we were offered 20 million plus, it's a big number for us to turn down at the moment.
As long as that money was invested back into Phil, with a number of players, I think it would be a good business decision. It's just if it wasn't filled with full of numbers, it would cause a massive issue for me.
Yeah, it would. Back to a couple of points. Ian, thanks, mate. He's sticking up for me. Dave's lives matter. Guys, leave him alone. Thanks. Do you have a leader on the pitch? You know, when you've got all these injuries at the moment, so there's an awful lot of people out. The question is, do we now currently have a leader on the pitch?
Yeah, of course.
Johnny Howson?
Johnny Howson.
Yeah,
Johnny's a leader. Johnny's a leader off the pitch, on the pitch. I think he's got the full respect. You know what I mean? Listen, I think it'd be nice to share the workload and share that pressure. With the Dale Fry, with the Lenihan, you know, and with the Riley McGree, with the players who lead naturally. But listen, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Players lead in different ways. You know what I mean? We still got those players around, by the way.
Yep.
Those players aren't not here anymore. They still turn up for games. They'll be in the changing room up to kick off. You know what I mean? They'll still be able to give advice to players, help players out. But when the players go on there, regardless what information you get from your managers, your coaches, your teammates, your friends, your family, the supporters, you've got to go out there and perform. You've got to go out there and put a shift in. You've got to go out there and play your own game. Yes, you're trying to use the tactics and you're going to try and implement things that the manager wants you to do, but you've got to just play the game and play the occasion. You'd won the game in terms of you got the early goal, you're dominating a football match, you're going at half time, and for whatever reason, they came out on top. They created a few more chances than us. The tactics were a little bit better. They looked a little bit more organised on us, but that's also the players' responsibility along with the managers and coaches. You know, we've all got to take a collective responsibility, and then the supporters on top of that, sprinkled on top, that when we let a goal in, we've got to give 110% more in order to make sure that the fans know that we're behind them, instead of moaning and groaning like we all do.
Yep.
You know, that we all got to collectively take that responsibility and hope that we all want that holy grail. We all want to get in the playoffs. We all want to win more football matches. We all want to see Aston Villa in the FA Cup. We all want to see Fulham, Chelsea, Liverpool, whoever it is in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup over 2 legs. So listen, it's not all doom and gloom. We've had a really tough week. 3 bad results, 3 bad defeats, but hopefully come Saturday we can get a little bit of positivity. Another
test for Carrick, obviously. He's getting a few tests this year, isn't he, this season? I've done Rye a disservice, our Rye, because I only had part of his message up. So I'll give you the full message. He said, I think he got it awfully wrong last night. We're talking Carrick. In my head, I'm thinking it has to be one of 2 things, because there's no way he can truly believe it was a good performance. A, it's just protecting his players. But he got it wrong, went too far, and almost praised them for ineptitude, which doesn't wash with fans at all. Strong word, ineptitude, right? Yeah. Or B, he's been learning from Mourinho, and it's purely deflection. Trying to make the fans mad at him, so not so much at the players. There were the 2 options, he thinks. Yeah. Do you see either of those being more accurate?
Yeah, I think a manager's job is to deflect. I think a manager's job is to deflect off players. What happens in the changing room stays in the changing room. Let's start first and foremost. That happens. You know what I mean? I've seen some very heated arguments, fights. Things get thrown around. There's fights. There's all sorts happen. What you can imagine happens in the changing room after a defeat happens on a regular basis. But a manager will go out and speak to the media, speak to the press, and will hopefully deflect, and it will be his fault. And that's what happens. It's a part of football. And I think he knows that supporters aren't stupid, but I think he also is trying to take the pressure off the players, because he knows that the players are the ones who, at the minute, he hasn't got many options to change it for the weekend. Yeah. He knows that in a short space of time, in 2 days, he isn't going to get an extra player back. Yep. So he needs to make sure that he protects players at all costs and make sure that they're nice and positive come Saturday, because they're the most important part of a football club. Managers come and go, for rightly or wrongly. Players are the most important players for people at a club. They're there for the long term, and we have to make sure that they're right first and foremost come Saturday, that we've got 11 strong players on the pitch with enough players that we need to probably turn things around for a few positive subs. But sometimes I think we just need to take a breath. It's been a real bad week. Listen, trying to be positive about three defeats is impossible, you know. And we love the club, we love the manager, we love the chair. Well, I love the chairman. There's a lot of positivity about what we're doing. We've turned things around dramatically. It's the worst roller coaster I think I've ever been on this season as a Middlesbrough fan for a long time, because it's high and low. There's no in between. There's no calming wait for the next up. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down, and then with a big cup game coming up and a big league game coming up, it doesn't look like it's going to change very, very quickly.
Like the teeth on a tenant saw, mate. Up and down, up and down. There's a comment coming from Tracy. She's asking a comment about the Port Vale game.
Yeah.
But we've got Swansea in between. I don't know which one to go with first. Let's go with Tracy's comment. Thanks for sending us it in, Trace. She says, Port Vale, next Tuesday night, what would be your starting 11?
I think depending on what happens on Saturday.
That's why I said I didn't know which way to
go. I think depending on what happens on Saturday, I think we can only take one game at a time. And if we had no game on Saturday, I think I'd mix it up a little bit, but then we'd have a few more days to prepare. We'd have a few more days rest. It's going to be a difficult game on Saturday. It's going to be a real difficult game. Potentially we're going to waste a lot of energy on Saturday because we're going to be chasing the ball because they will keep the ball. Would I put Sammy Silvera in? Would I freshen it up and give a little bit of pace potentially? He has mixed things up in the cups previously, which has had a positive impact.
Yeah.
So would he go down that route
again? To be honest, the club, during our bad run in the league, that was our lifeline. That was our lifeblood. It was the only injection of positivity we had.
And players have responded really well. So will it happen again? I'm not sure. Will he make as many risks? I don't think he will. I don't think he'll change the goalkeeper. I don't think he'll put Glover in. I think he'll stick to his core team now. I think it'll because. Okay. I don't think we've got that opportunity to take those many risks.
You could toss. I was going to say Carling Cup there. I'm going back a bit, aren't I?
The Carabao Cup.
You could toss a Carabao Cup game to one side and just say it's not important.
Yeah.
But it's a quarter-final.
Yeah.
Where you've got technically, other than barring the being at home, you've got the easiest opponent as people would perceive it to play. How important does that then make that game?
I think I agree with you. I think if it was one round earlier, I think it would become a game which we can take as many risks as you want and just put it to one side. And if we go through, brilliant. If we don't, does it matter? We're at that stage of a cup competition where we're 2 games away, 3 games away from Wembley, but one's a semi-final of a 2 leg. So for me, it becomes a massive importance because we're going to play a Premier League side home and away. It could be a local one against Newcastle, which makes it massive. What I don't want to do is lose to Port Vale and regret playing Newcastle over 2 legs or playing a Fulham over 2 legs where we could potentially get a West Ham or we can get a positive result and get to Wembley. I don't want to ruin this opportunity of a major trophy at Wembley. We won the trophy at the Millennium Stadium, which was fantastic. It was a great event.
Yeah, I was there.
Great event, great day. And I was playing for Cardiff at the time. It made it even more special. But there's something even more special about seeing them at Wembley and doing it at Wembley and hopefully having a positive impact because I've been there every time at Wembley when we've been there and I've cried every time as a player and as a supporter. So I want to hopefully see some.
Mate.
I want to see some positivity at Wembley for Middlesbrough, and I hope. Listen, we're not going to get a better chance this year because we've had Huddersfield, Bolton, Bradford, Exeter, Port Vale. It doesn't come any better than that. I'm not going to call it easy because no game's easy. You can only beat what's in front of you, but it doesn't come any better.
So we got Swansea beforehand. I don't think he's got many options in the starting 11 for Swansea. We're not going to see new faces back. We're not going to see new faces back for the Port Vale game, but I suppose he does have that fear. And I'm sure he's been thinking this in the last handful of games when he looks at the bench and thinks, I've got to try and make a change here, but do I risk people? Do I risk more injuries? So I suppose his hands are tied to a certain extent on Saturday. Yeah,
100%. And I think you look at the change yesterday, Clark coming out, Van der Berg going in. Was there too many games in a short space of time? Will he
He's been out for 14 months.
Will he bring Clark back in and play him Saturday to Saturday, or will he? Is the plan to play him against Port Vale on Wednesday? So do I.
He looks good.
So do I. Will he mix things up and change his formation and play a back 3? Yeah, there's loads of things that he could do. There's loads
Any
of things
chance
that he
he'd leave Dale out?
I don't think so. I don't think he can. For me, Dale's Rolls Royce. I think Dale's at an age and a level of his footballing journey that he should be able to play week in week out, game after game. And even when he's playing badly, making mistakes, it's because he's trying to do the right thing. But sometimes those mistakes happen. But he's never had that consistent partner alongside him where he makes him. You know what I mean? When I see him,
which can be critical.
Huge,
Mowbray Pallister.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, and I remember
Adams Bald.
Remember Dale when we played Sunderland last year and we beat them 1-0. Matt Clark's first game. Him and Clark alongside each other were immense, but they haven't had enough time to forge a relationship. Dale and Van der Berg haven't had enough time to forge a relationship. Dale and Lenihan did okay, but we shipped a lot of goals in. We lost a lot of games, so was it those two together? Was it? I mean, there's loads of interpretations we can look at, but you need the right people in the right places. And the run that we went on, the positive run, we had the similar spine of the team. We had the goalkeeper, the same two centre halves, midfield, centre forward. So we probably need to get back to a little bit of consistency. The next two games are huge. They don't get any bigger for this football club, I don't think, this season.
It sounds strange, doesn't it, saying a cup game against Port Vale's huge.
Yeah.
But it is. Yeah. It is. Get through the semi-finals, suddenly it could just give you that bit of self-belief.
It could change the season, Dave. This week.
Even if we go out the semi-final to a Premier League team, put up a decent performance, you think, hey, we are okay.
We've given them a good go, you know, and I look at years gone by, you know, there's an opportunity to get to Wembley here, and this is the opportunity. You know, I'm not talking about winning the cup. I'm talking about getting to Wembley, and we're one Premier League game and one game against a lower side away from going to Wembley. That's a huge opportunity that you can't give up. You can't give up, and you beat Port Vale, you're going to get a sellout at the Riverside. It's going to be a TV game. You're going to go away from home to a Premier League game. They're the games that the players want to play in.
And it would be magnificent to have
Michael wants to manage it.
Away. But there you go.
Wow.
I'd rather have that in the final. We'll keep that one for the final.
Yeah.
Our Aussie guru, the Ledge from Australia, has been back on. He's been doing his stats. So he thinks this stat is quite telling.
Right.
Even though Cinnamon Latte Caramel Latte is banging them in, games where Josh has started.
Yeah.
This is our record. 1-7.
Yeah.
Drawn 1. Lost 1. Games when Josh hasn't started. 1-1. Drawn 2. Lost 9.
Yeah. Can
you read into them?
Josh gives us a little bit of a different dimension to play. He's better with the ball, better hold-up player. He gives us more of an outlet, takes pressure off defenders. Latte Lath, a little bit more direct, doesn't keep hold of the ball as well, plays in a different way. So obviously that has an impact. You can also look at the injuries right now. It's having an impact. At the start of the season when Josh wasn't playing, we lost a lot of games. So I think we can only focus on here and now. I think a lot of the games which we lost at the start of the season, which Josh didn't play until he started getting his regular game time as a starter. But now the last 3 is worrying. Do we need to change it? But what I'm hearing is I'm not sure Josh will be fit. I'm not sure that his injury is going to clear up very quickly overnight. So we need to be very careful of what we wish for, because what we don't want to do here is risk a player and get them back and put them out for 2, 3, 4 weeks minimum. You know what I mean? Because then they miss the whole Christmas period. If the manager's looking at it in a fortnight, or looking at it gamely or weekly, then I think I'm sure the plan will be to get him back in the side or get him back into the squad as soon as he possibly can. But he's got to be fit, same as everybody else.
Just looking to see if there's any more comments coming before we disappear. Good night, everyone. This is Ian. Good night, everyone watching. Good to chat. As normal, got the rest of the week to have a great rest of the week. Looks forward to the next live stream. So thank you for that, Ian. Very nice words, mate. We're done and dusted. I suppose I'm going to just give you this dilemma to answer. It's probably very unfair of me. If you could only win one of the next 2 games, which would it be?
But probably
I nearly
went across the grain and said about I've said how important the cup game is. The league's important because we can't afford to fall too many games behind and points behind, but the cup's a one-off opportunity, so we have to win the cup. We have to win the cup game to get where we are. I risk losing the league game, but then win further games throughout the season.
Just because the cup can give you that injection of self-belief, positivity.
And there's a bigger picture.
And you win more league games after.
There's a bigger picture, yeah.
Okay.
In that one.
Cracking, mate. Good to have you in.
Great question.
As always.
Nightmare as well. Nightmare question. That's your job.
I think that's it. We're done and dusted, mate. So I'll catch you. Are you in next Thursday? We're getting close to Christmas.
Yeah, in next Thursday, yeah.
Oh, good man. Okay, that's great stuff. Cracking. Don't forget your comments next week. And don't forget the North East Footy Breakfast Show. Back in the morning, 7 till 9 on the Red. Right across Teesside on DAB Radio, and Darlow and Aycliffe and Bishop Auckland. We'll get to Stockton soon when the government switch the transmitters on for Stockton. But also you can catch us, smart speakers, online, all that sort of stuff, and that we'll catch you then.